Don't tell anybody. I'm sick of coming here every year and talking about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Look, remember a few years ago we were here, people saying, Andy Reid's going to retire. I'm like, no way. When you're riding Seabiscuit, Secretariat, when you're riding a horse that you know can win, who would jump off that?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes. End of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. Smylie, fresh off a rousing wedding weekend.
Yes.
Love to get a little report on that. And good old Vestavia out there in Birmingham. I'm fresh off maybe the shortest West Coast trip of all time. I went out to Pebble Beach, went out Thursday night and came back on Saturday, but Friday was well worth the price of admission to hang out a little bit there, to see some of the courses, see some cool people. So that's where we're at. How are you feeling post-wedding? Let's start there.
Probably like a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
You know, I would say probably not quite the brain power that I'm normally operating with, but for the most part, I'm in a good place. Got to watch. I mean, it was a great Sunday. You know, you have Pebble Beach on the TV. Unfortunately, it was a perfect day here in Birmingham. It was like 70 degrees, sunny. And so I felt obligated to go outside, but also felt pretty obligated to be on my couch too. So it was kind of a lose-win kind of deal there. But
did they play Shout at the wedding?
I think. Maybe. We did karaoke after the wedding. That's what I'm hoarse from. Just a little.
Did we get little Drops of Jupiter train action in?
Yep.
To go to.
Sure did.
God,
did that
for you.
And I did one more too. I got to think about which one it was.
As has been documented on the show, Drops of Jupiter, that's the Smylie Kaufman go-to karaoke song.
It is.
I think back to last year at the Zurich and Rory singing Don't Stop Believing. I hope we're able to bless the internet at some point with the Smylie singing Drops of Jupiter video.
Yeah,
in that fashion.
It's my New Year's resolution every year to finish Drops of Jupiter without losing my voice and or just get through it without just like feeling like my throat's going to die. And I saw some videos and I was straining to get through it last night.
Yes. I mean, that's a tail end of a wedding. I wouldn't have it any other way for you.
Yeah. Very congrats to Big James, Cunningham's Faith. It was a lot of fun.
Love that. Yeah. Well, I mean, should we dive right into Pebble Beach?
Tell me a little bit more about your trip, I guess. I'm curious to hear. Did you get to tee it up at all, or were you just out there doing the dinner and just hanging out?
15 and a half holes of Cypress, which is always nice to get out there. But it was on Friday where the weather was kind of trending towards nasty.
Okay.
So my caddy, it was a quick one. It was like a solo round. So just me and the caddy. And
that's incredible.
It was just so nice. I'll never play it like that ever again. Never have, never will again. We are going to talk about, Rory winning early this season. Could this be a big year for him? I kind of just want to start with him, but from a different context of just the comments he made throughout the week about how special this place is. So he said immediately upon winning the first question that, it was really special to win at one of the cathedrals of golf. And earlier in the week, he had a quote that said, "I think really good venues are a big part of the storyline. When we go to major championships, especially a U.S. Open and an Open Championship, I always feel like the golf course is a big part of the storyline heading into Thursday. Sometimes on the PGA Tour, that isn't the case because whether you play a run-of-the-mill TPC or whatever it just isn't that interesting. So to come back to Pebble Beach time and again and play Spyglass, I think Spyglass is a really, really good golf course. To play these two golf courses, it's definitely two of the best that we play all year." So
here's an argument here.
Okay.
Is that he's never played this event, besides, did he play last year for the signature event?
I think he played last year, yes.
But before that, never supported this event. So you can make that argument and say, well, why didn't you play it in the past, I guess?
It's a fair one. I think, and if we can jump into this exercise right now, because this is something that I have for you, and I'd really love to get your insight. I think a lot of people would be interested in this. I'm going to share my screen right now. So if you're listening on podcasts and you want to hop in and join us on YouTube, now would be a great time to do it. Is that I have a list of all of the PGA Tour venues, and so I made a couple of exclusions. All right, so I did not include any major venues on this list. I did not include any one-off venues. So, for example, I did not include Philly Cricket this year, which is hosting the Truist because the Quail Hollow is the place that tournament is normally hosted, but is hosting the PGA Championship this year. I included Riviera, even though it will not be holding this year's version of the Genesis because of the fires in Los Angeles. I omitted events like the Canadian Open and the BMW Championship that have rotating venues, and I omitted opposite field events and fall events. But here's what I want to do, Smylie, is in like eye doctor office visit fashion. I want to start with Pebble Beach. I want to go through with each of these courses, and you tell me whether it ranks above or below that course, and we're just going to start making a list here. And I think where I'd love to end up is like, what do we have of our top 5 or top 10 courses on this list? And does that feel like the right amount of good venues for the best tour in the world? So we have Pebble Beach, Kapalua, better or worse than Pebble Beach in your opinion?
Worse.
Okay, so we'll go Kapalua there. Waialae, better or worse than Kapalua?
It's better in Kapalua.
Okay, and then better or worse than Pebble?
It is, yes, you're right. It's perfect.
Okay.
Right in between Pebble and Kapalua.
Okay. Pete Dye Stadium course, better or worse than Kapalua?
It's oh gosh, man. When do I start triggering the haters here? Because I'm thinking about putting this above Pebble.
Wow, I love it. No, this is great. This is your list. You get to make whatever you want it to be. Well, I'm assuming it's above Kapalua and Waialae then, right?
The only reason why I would say that, it's above Pebble. You gotta hit more shots.
I love that. Okay, great. All right, so now let's go Torrey. I
mean, Pebble. Just think about it. Like it's incredible. It's an iconic venue, like we talk about. It's a lot of wedge shots, really, really small greens. The weather kind of has to play a factor for it to be somewhat difficult. You could play Pebble when it's firm, and that's when it's great. Like when Pebble's firm, it's great. But when we watch it on TV for this event, this was the firmest I've seen it. It actually had like a bit of bounce to it, but for the most part, you're zipping things back. So when we're comparing this Pebble Beach AT&T week,
to US Open, yeah.
I think the Players is a better golf course for when they play it. Now, if you say the US Open Pebble Beach, it's above the stadium. So that's
got it. Okay, good distinction.
Sorry, I have to defend that so hard.
Well, I mean, and also the other thing I forgot to mention here is that we're just using the marquee course of these multi-course events. So I don't have a La Quinta on here, I don't have a Spyglass on here. But I'll even say I love Pebble Beach. I mean, I grew up in Central California, went over there, played a bunch. we went and shot a video of Spyglass last year. Like, I think Spyglass is just as good as Pebble, if not better in some respects. I think it's a more interesting golf course that calls for a wider variety of golf shots. It's more challenging. And it's just like, it suffers from being reverse Cypress in a way. I'm not saying Spyglass is as good as Cypress by any stretch. What I'm saying is that Cypress takes you into the forest and you do the whole thing in Del Monte Forest, and then you come out and you're along 17-mile drive, you're along the ocean, and it's this grand finish, except for, people rag on 18 to Cypress, but you have to go back up and in to go to the clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
Spy starts you out in the ocean and then winds you back in the Del Monte Forest. So it's like this anticlimax for people who want those views. But I find some of the most interesting holes at Spy to be the ones you play in the Del Monte Forest. And I think it's the optics on it, I think it's a great course, but I think it's, like I put it up there. Anyway, that's a tangent. So let's take Torrey here. So Torrey above Kapalua or below
yeah,
it?
it's going to be in between Wailea and Pebble.
Perfect. All right. TPC Scottsdale, where are we putting this one?
TPC Scottsdale is going to be below Wailea for me.
Okay.
I think Wailea is a bit of a better golf course than Scottsdale. It's just TPC Scottsdale's never really, like, from just the shots that you hit out there. There's too many holes that I have issues with. It's not a perfect 18 holes. It's a really cool stretch, that 15, 16, 17. I think those 3 holes rival any 3 as far as entertainment goes on the PGA Tour. But when you talk about just the rest of the golf course, it's just kind of blah to me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Wailea's a Seth Rayner. I think that's no argument from my end of the camera here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Riv.
Two guys that can do it all. It's
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to be below Pebble Beach and above Torrey Pines.
All right, I like it. This is gonna this is gonna be a great embrace debate list. Vedanta Vallarta.
That's going to be it's going to be below Kapalua.
Okay, all right. PGA National. Now, hold on a second. You have to rate this on course quality, not on how bad it beats you up.
So what I love about this place is that the quality shots that you have to hit to win this event. There's penalty areas just about on every hole you're trying to avoid. Just think about the Honda growing up as kids when we watched Rory, we watched Tiger, and all the the big time moments and shots you have to hit on that golf course elevates it to me to where when you're watching on the TV, you don't know where the golf ball is going to end up when it's in the air. That's I think with that factoring in from playing it, the shots that you have to hit, it's close to being above Riv in my mind.
Wow. Okay, so
Just from like, I'm saying like we're talking about factoring in the shots that you have to hit, and then the entertainment factor as far as watching it. Like Riviera is amazing to play. It's a really hard golf course, but I always thought Riviera is kind of boring to watch. Like it's incredible. Like it's a great piece of architecture. It's really fun to play, but there's not a whole lot going on besides that 10th hole. It's just, it's kind of boring to me, like watching on TV. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I would, when we're putting all these factors into a big pot here, it has, for me, PGA National is a more fun venue from a TV standpoint, watching it and playing it, and the cringe and all those factors of you having to, try to pull off these shots down the stretch. So I know that's a weird one. PGA National slipping up there. I would say some years it's PGA Nationals probably hasn't been in the best of shape at times, but when it's in really good shape, I think if you had all the players playing that event, I think you'd be in for some high drama.
All right, so we have PGA National above Riv, and then now we're going Bay Hill.
That sounds so terrible to say. I bet people are just rolling their eyes at that. But
this is such an amazing list. Pete Dye Stadium, Pebble Beach, and PGA National are the top three. Then Riv, then Torrey. I love it. It's so good. All right, where are we going with Bay Hill?
Again, Bay Hill is this is a hard one, man, because there's a lot of holes I really like at Bay Hill, and then there's a lot of holes I'm just like, a lot of players don't like Bay Hill. They wouldn't play there if they didn't have to, but because
it's just a grind,
it's just a grind, and it's become too difficult. I know people will roll their eyes at that these guys shoot however many under most weeks, but it's so challenging, and the greens get so firm and so fast. And for me, I think Bay Hill is close to Torrey Pines, and I would say I like playing Torrey Pines more than Bay Hill, so we're going to slot it in behind there.
So above Waialae, below Torrey Pines, currently 6th on your list. This is so good. Just to give everyone a recap, we now have 10 courses on the board thus far. We're just about
Bay
to go
Hill's
to Sawgrass.
Is not in the top half. This is a tough scene.
Current list: Pete Dye Stadium course, Pebble Beach, PGA National, Riviera, and Torrey Pines are your top 5. And then Bay Hill, Waialae, TPC Scottsdale, Kapalua, and Vedanta Vallarta. So now TPC Sawgrass, where are we putting this course? I know you love this one.
Oh, wait. So the first one you did, the Pete Dye Stadium course, I thought this was the Players. Sorry, I heard stadium course, and I didn't even bat an eye at thinking. So the Pete Dye Stadium course, that's the La Quinta.
That's one of the Amex.
Jeez, man, like Pete Dye Stadium course, you could see why I thought it was TPC Sawgrass here. Right?
This is good.
That's a weird way to call it TPC Sawgrass.
This is really good, because this is going to be like the massive twist in the middle of this. People are like listening to this and thinking like, what is he talking about? All right, so let's first appropriately rank Pete Dye Stadium course at the Amex. Where do we want that course?
My gosh. That is going to go, I would say it's right around TBC Scottsdale, and I think I'm going to slide it in above TBC Scottsdale.
Okay. And then I'm assuming Sawgrass now goes to the top of the list.
Yes.
Great. Okay. You mentioned the Players earlier, and I thought you were alluding to when we got to that point. This list isn't chronological order, by the way, in case you ever feel like you lost the spot. That's the way I did that. So, okay. So let's refresh here. Everyone who thinks Smiley's lost his mind and or loves the Amex. TPC Sawgrass, Pebble Beach, PGA National, Riv, Torrey Pines, your new top 5. Okay, now Innisbrook Copperhead.
Ooh, it's really good. It's let's put it just right above Waialae.
Okay, all right. Memorial Park, where they moved in Houston, where they moved the Texas Open.
Yeah, it's put it above Vedanta.
Okay, all right. TPC San Antonio.
TPC San Antonio, I would say is, for me, it's going to be kind of middle to the back part, kind of a boring watch. It's the front nine just kind of so different feeling to the back nine to me, but you got to drive it really good out there. It's put it above Kapalua. and below TPC Sotskill.
Okay. Harbor Town.
Ooh, Harbor Town's great. Let's put that above Torrey Pines.
Oh, love that. I love that. Okay. Now a couple TPCs in a row here. TPC Louisiana.
Yeah, that's also going to be near the bottom. So you can put that above Memorial.
Okay, above Memorial. All right. Should I just put TPC Craig Ranch right at the top?
You can put that right smack dab at the bottom there, bro.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to Quail Hollow next.
Okay, Quail Hollow is interesting because, you know, when they play a major championship, it feels like it has a different level of difficulty as far as like what they do with the rough and how it's normally treated with a typical Wells Fargo. This year, it's obviously the PGA Championship, but for a typical year, I would say that I like it more than Bay Hill, but it's a very comparable as far as just that category goes. So I would put it in between Torrey and Bay Hill.
Okay, that's at 7th on your current list. Okay, so our new updated top 5: TPC Sawgrass, Pebble Beach, PGA National, Riv, and Harbor Town. Now we're going to Colonial, another historic course.
Can I switch?
Yeah, of course.
So I really like Harbor Town a little bit more than PGA National.
Okay.
So let's go and put that at 3 and just slide PGA National down. Yeah, there you go.
I love this. It's like an updating poll, like an AP poll.
Yeah, I think that's slotted right now for me.
Love that. Okay, new top 5: Sawgrass at 1, Pebble at 2, Harbor Town 3, PGA National 4, Riv at 5.
I have no idea how to categorize what Mavericks GM Nico Harrison pulled off, Joe. All I know is that he shipped off Luka Doncic without telling Luka about it.
If you thought conditioning was a problem for Luka, wait until you get a load of Anthony Davis tripping over air and then missing 40 games because he's like Glass Joe's.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Muirfield Village was always one of my favorites, but there's just a couple holes that
like
really
was it 16 you didn't love.
Yes, it's one of my favorite to play. It's one of my favorite to watch. One of the best crowds. So there's so many good things that I like about Memorial, but there's just like it's so close to being like near the very top of this list, but it's gonna be probably right in front of Riviera at 5.
Wow, that is big stuff.
Where would you have gone there?
No, I think it's not that I don't, it's not that I disagree with that ranking. It's just funny to see like Riv beneath Muirfield Village. I mean, I guess they're both courses of high stature. Just people hold Riv in such high regard.
I don't know. I just think about events I've watched over the years. You know, like yes, 18's a really cool setting at Riv, but I've had more memories of watching things happen at Muirfield Village on that 14th hole. And of course the chip in at 16 with Tiger. I just think there's been more moments I think of. I was one of my favorite golf courses to play on tour. And yeah, I like where it's at now.
Okay, great. So our new top 5: Sawgrass 1, Pebble 2, Harbortown 3, PGA National 4, Muirfield Village 5. Next up is TPC River Highlands.
Interesting. Okay. It's a really good, really fun back 9. Front 9's kind of blah, and it's actually the front 9 really is very boring to me. The back 9 has so much fun to it. And I enjoy watching it on TV too, because of all the craziness that can happen on that back 9.
Mm-hmm.
I think
climate protesters.
I think it has more excitement than Tampa.
Okay.
And I like it a little less than Bay Hill. So right in between Bay Hill and Copperhead, TPC River Highlands.
Grab this right here. All right. Perfect. So that's new number 10 on your list.
Yeah.
Now Detroit Golf Club, side of the Rocket Mortgage.
Good.
The Rocket. They're just calling it the Rocket Classic now.
Yeah. Let's see. Can you scroll down a little bit for me? So it's, put it right above, right below Kapalua and above TPC Louisiana.
Oh, interesting. A Donald Ross course that low.
It's just kind of, it's pretty boring.
No, fair.
Pretty boring to watch. I enjoy playing it. I actually didn't mind playing it, but it's, it hadn't done like crazy things for me.
All right. How about TPC Deer Run next?
TPC Deer Run. I mean, it's just a birdie fest, man. So it's, you got to shoot 30 under that week. I like it. Probably, I would say it's right around that Detroit for me. So right below that.
Right below Detroit. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then going overseas to the one recurring venue for the Scottish Open, a co-sanctioned event, the Renaissance Club.
Yeah. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see this list at this point. There's just so much going on here, like where I would slot it in.
Well, here TPC Truck Ranch is the bottom at 23.
It's an okay links golf course. So it's really hard to compare. Like there's no other links course we're kind of comparing these two, but I don't think there's a whole lot to this place that brings back any type of nostalgia for anybody because it's such a new event. So I think people are still trying to figure it out as far as just what this course really is and if it's a good viewing golf course. I've been out to it. It's pretty good. It's probably middle of the pack for me. I would probably put it below Waialae and above the stadium course at Pete Dye.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely fair. Just to stop down here a little bit because I understand and I'm greatly appreciative of the people that own this club that paid lots of money to support this event and, Genesis and everything. And but how are you playing the Scottish Open at a brand new design course when you have a whole country of historic courses?
Yeah.
I mean, how does it not go to some of these other places? It is one of the most nonsensical things that I've ever encountered in the game of golf. Like with all due respect,
but it's good. I mean, it's not,
fine, but it's not like
it's not what we could play. Right?
Go anywhere else. Go to Carnoustie, go to St. Andrews. The list goes on and on and on and on. I understand the economics that land this event, this place just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Okay.
TPC Twin Cities.
Oof. A lot of water on that place, but it's going to be on the lower side here. It's I would say put it right above TPC San Antonio and below Scottsdale.
Okay. All right. Right there. A couple TPCs in a row. Just 3 more left here on our list. Okay. Sedgefield Country Club.
Yeah, it's a fun course to play. I mean, if it weren't for the drama being the last event, I think it would be very back of the pack as far as just golf courses go on tour, which is probably where I'm going to slot it. And that's going to be, we're going to put that above Detroit Golf Club. I like it a little bit more.
Sticking the 2 Donald Rosses together. I like that.
But that's not surprising. Donald Ross courses for me, I've never rated Donald Ross courses as high as other people. That's just my preference.
But you love Hope Valley though, right? You just love Hope Valley.
Here you go. That's right.
Home of the Durham Open that Byron Nelson won. So how about that?
but don't tell anybody. I'm sick of coming here every year and talking about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Look, remember a few years ago we were here, people saying, Andy Reid's going to retire. I'm like, no way. When you're riding Seabiscuit, Secretariat, when you're riding a horse that you know can win, who would jump off that?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I have no idea how to categorize what Mavericks GM Nico Harrison pulled off, Joe. All I know is that he shipped off Luka Doncic without telling Luka about it.
If you thought conditioning was a problem for Luka, wait till you get a load of Anthony Davis tripping over air and then missing 40 games because he's like Glass Joe's.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, two more here. TPC Southwind.
TPC Southwind. Why is that not ringing a bell? Where is this?
Memphis.
I was like, where is this? Sorry, we're so far down in this. Man, it's really good. Really good. It's super underrated. So let's move our way up. It's in the top half for me. It's better than Colonial, better than TPC River Highlands. Let's put it right there, right below Bay Hill.
Right below Bay Hill. So that would make it the second highest rated TPC outside of Sawgrass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then finally, East Lake Golf Club.
Well, I only know what I've seen from this past year. So I'm rating it based off of that, where I know other events I've kind of rated based off of events that I've watched there in the past as kids. And East Lake, I always thought was terrible to watch on TV. I obviously didn't get that experience this year watching it on TV as I was working the broadcast. But it's above middle of the pack. It's definitely not in the top 10 for me. It's going to be probably in that range of, is it better than, I don't think it's as good as TPC Southwind. I think TPC River Highlands, it's better than, so it's slotted right in between there.
Right, 11th. Okay. So this is it. We've completed the list now. This is fascinating to look back at this. So at number 1 of the recurring tour venues on Smylie's rankings list, TPC Sawgrass. 2 is Pebble Beach, and you made the important distinction of this is Pebble Beach and AT&T Pro-Am conditions. If it was a U.S. Open, Pebble might be number 1 on that list. 3, Harbor Town. 4, PGA National. 5, Muirfield Village. That's the top 5. And then
I think that's the problem is with this list, when people are going to see it, they're going to heavily debate PGA National. But if you put a really good field at PGA National, I think it has a different perspective. It's just they just hadn't gotten the field, you know?
Well, and let's go 5 more there, and just, Riv at 6, Torrey Pines at 7, Quail Hollow at 8, Bay Hill at 9, and TPC Southwind at 10. This is your list. People can debate this. I mean, if those are the top 10 courses you're playing on the PGA Tour, do you think that is room for criticism or change, or
solid, man? I
like that as a solid list?
I think it's a really dang good top 10. I mean, yes, like, I think what you're going to really see is at the bottom half in the middle is where you kind of debate. It's like, all right, where can we get better here? And I think that's where we really see it. Like, I think the drop off point for me is when you look at, you got a pretty good run there. Go from like TPC River Highlands. You got Copperhead, which is a great venue. Colonial, which just had some changes. But Colonial, Waialae, I think are both really enjoyable watches for what the golf courses are, as far as not as much length, the history behind the places, and the scores that typically aren't quite as low as what you think it would be. But then you kind of get to, this is where I get to the spot of like, okay, this is kind of no man's land of like, if you have the right weather that week or the right leaderboard, it's a good week. And that's like this little stretch here of the Renaissance Club, the Pete Dye Stadium golf course, which is the Amex, TPC Scottsdale, which we always will turn the TV on just because of the hoopla. But I think why that's so low on my list is because people don't see like the other holes. A lot of TV just kind of shows the back nine, which is really a fantastic back nine, but the front's so blah. But then you just kind of run into that TPC stretch, Charlie, of TPC Twin Cities. Can you scroll for me just a little bit down?
Absolutely.
Yeah, TPC Twin Cities, TPC San Antonio, and then Kapalua, which is a visually incredible place. But I think everybody's tired of the low scores that place continues to have.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, in looking at the bottom of this list, that there are some that at least the way you're evaluating and rating this list, which I find interesting, is you're throwing out who designed it. You're throwing out history. You're evaluating this on, does it produce interesting tournaments? And is it, is it a compelling golf course in terms of, creating good leaderboards and good competition? And I think
crowds too. Like I think a lot about what places to get supported. Yeah. Because if this, like the reason like Vedanta is like it's a pretty good golf course. Like you got to hit a long, you got to stripe your nug out there in some wind, and it's a lot of mid irons. So it's a challenging golf course, but I mean, hey, nobody's out there.
Sure.
I think that's like one of my biggest things about LIV is a lot of these events, not that, they get some terrible crowds overseas. And that's to me is when there's not juice, it's really, you feel that on the ground and then you feel it through the TV.
Well, I think Rory's criteria, and this can take us, into Rory's play this week. But I mean, I think his being is it a major storyline or talking point throughout the week leading into Thursday? And I think that as interesting as PGA National is for all the reasons you listed, there aren't like a million write-ups leading into the week about this specific hole on PGA National or this specific shot. And maybe that's the fault of the media or the people breaking this down. And I'm sure you could find that in places like, the Fried Egg and other, like you can find those types of things. But I think just, it's a mix of, name brand that they get people interested to tune in with, interesting outcome. Kind of like Riv. I think a lot of people would have Riv higher on this list just because they know it and because it has the history. But you could, but
it's really
point,
good. But I just can't think of many moments watching Riv as a kid and even over the last decade of moments or shots that come to mind besides shots at the 18th hole. Like rarely do I think of something from 17, even the 16th, the par 3, which is a really good par 3, but there's nothing that comes to mind. It's a really great hole. 15's a really good hard hole, but I don't know. I know when you play Riviera, it's incredible. But just, I know that it just doesn't do it for me on TV. What would be your top 5 as far as this list goes?
If I'm looking through and I'm doing a similar exercise to you, I'd say my top 5 would probably be, I'd probably go Pebble 1. I would probably go Sawgrass 2. It'd be very similar. I'd probably go Riv 3. I'd probably go Harbor Town 4, and I would go East Lake 5.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just think, and a lot of that too is just my, I'm a Donald Ross homer, as you all know, just his history as an architect in this country. So I get excited to go see that type of golf. And now you got Andrew Green, who kind of regrassed it and modernized it in a way. I understand why to some people it's not visually compelling, but I'll say it this way, that I'm in looking at this through the Rory lens, like I'm excited to read think pieces in the week leading up to the Tour Championship about the way East Lake plays. I'm not that way with a lot of other courses. And I think, and that's omitting Torrey. Like you could make a case for Torrey, but I think Torrey's like the best version of Kapalua. Great visuals, but then when it comes to the golf course itself, it leaves a little bit to be desired, but
Well,
but it's also
I'll fill in the
great
blanks
outcomes.
with you though, and that is like how good you have to be. Like Kapalua is just wedges, man.
Yeah.
Like all it is just wedges.
Torrey's hard. Yeah.
With Torrey, you're hitting middle irons and 55 degrees to smaller greens, and Kapalua's got the biggest greens. So that comparison visually makes sense, but from a golf course standpoint, the challenges of that place. I think if there was just a little bit more danger factor in Torrey to kind of get you on the edge of your seat, besides just the 18th hole, I think it probably would be a little higher up on the list for me, because I love Torrey Pines.
Well, this was a good, fun, extended exercise. I'm definitely going to get Jackson to work up a little panel, put this out on social media, have people embrace debate here, chime in with their thoughts, make sure they get the full context of what you talked about. But I think this is, I just think it's a little bit of diversion from our regular talk, but this is a key piece of, and there were comments this week. We heard, Justin Thomas talk about his letter and just the things he wants to see different about the broadcast. We've been talking a lot about the PGA Tour product. The tour themselves have done an audit on just the ways in which they want to get better. And this is a key piece of this whole thing that Rory brought up. So I just was curious to get your thoughts on that. And did not disappoint with that list. Lots of hot takes there.
I think Ribs probably the hottest take, and I think PGA National will probably be sneaking up there. Probably has people confused a little bit, but it's so good as far as just the challenges.
You want me to solve all this tush push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes. End of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
But is it just a matter of his contract, his age? I mean, usually things like this get fixed pretty quickly, but this one is not fixed, and now it's just super uncomfortable.
The opportunity or the idea of getting another team involved adds more complication to the situation, and it doesn't seem like a resolution is anywhere in sight, but the more suspensions come in, the more it's clear that the saga is over, or his time there is over.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get to Rory this week, and I'll start with this. This is another, and I hope I'm not betraying Rasmus's confidence, but he said this like 3 or 4 times, and I loved it. He said he got to the tee at 14 at Pebble, and he's just looking up at the line that Rory's taking over that tree, and he just gets a smile on his face, starts laughing. He's like, I just don't see it. I just don't see that line there. And I think that was just all week long. The clubs, when he was hitting driver on 18, the clubs he was hitting in there, the lines he was taking. And for me, it was just marveling at a Rory that we see him hit the ball far, all the time, but I don't know why it was this week. I mean, it was like I think on 14 today, it was like a 340 carry off the tee over that tree on 14. Doing insane sorts of things, and then capping off a win at a place that he hasn't played a lot and hasn't necessarily played well when he has played years. So just your reactions on the way Rory played this week and, what you're seeing in his game that indicates to you like this could be a year where he could win some big events and maybe win a couple majors.
Well, I think with Rory, obviously it was really impressive. He's I think showing up, you kind of knew what you had to do, which was shoot somewhere between 4 to 6 under, and hope nobody else got hot. Playing with Sepp Straka, who had a 1-shot lead, didn't have his best day, and Shane Lowry, good buddy. So a really comfortable Ryder Cup European pairing in that final group. But I just felt like Rory's back nine was just, he hit all of the right shots. And when he drove it in that fairway bunker at 10, he had a 6-iron from 178 with the little lip he had to go over, and hit this like hold fade up against this in off the right wind to 20 feet, makes a putt for birdie. And then 12, which I think is a par hole, par 3 out at Pebble. He stuffs it right after Shane Lowry hit a beautiful one in there and makes a birdie. So right then and there, you know, when you're up near the top of the leaderboard, he hit the shots, man. Like that's like understanding, you know, what you got to do on a Sunday to win a golf tournament. We talk all the time about, you know, what's it take for a guy to go win, you know, to get over the hump, whether it's a Colin Morikawa, this or that. It's hitting shots like this on a back nine on a Sunday, and he hit 3 of them, man. It's that fairway bunker shot at 10, the iron shot he hit at 12, and then the drive he hit at 14. You know, when you fly at 338 yards and taking a line like you're talking about that Rasmus said, I don't see it. Oh, well, nobody else does either. So hitting
and Rasmus is not short. He is not a short player. It's just Rory's on a different planet.
It's just having that gear it's insane. Part of, you know, every part of me is like, is this good for Pebble Beach that somebody's hitting a 7-iron into the screen? Like, do we want that, or are we kind of like, this is awesome? I'm kind of like in between there, because I do love how that 14th hole at Pebble is like the kind of best should be risk reward of should I hit a driver and try to push a 3-wood up in this small little area with OB working to the right. And when you hit a drive like that, it's like, oh, all right, not a whole lot of trouble with the 7-iron in your hands, because that outlier with a 7-iron versus a 3-wood's a way different.
Well, and I think that's a whole interesting side discussion, piggybacking on the venue thing of, you know, if we're talking about venues like this that have name recognition, you know, it's the same thing as talking about, do we keep taking St. Andrews back to, or to keep taking the Open back to St. Andrews. And I think they just awarded St. Andrews the Open in, was it 27 or 27? And same year where Pebble Beach is going to host the US Open. So you might have 2 tournaments where the winning score at a major is a lot deeper than maybe most people would like it to be.
Well, just think about what Pebble's done in the past, though. Like for the US Open, it's even. I mean, they've added even par for that deal. Yeah. So besides, what is it? The famous one where Tiger Woods was anybody else under par that week?
I think it was it like 2 under? I think it was like maybe 2 players under par that week, or maybe it was it was over par. I think that was the now I want to look up the leaderboard. I want to say it was like,
I don't think anybody
he
shot
was
under
at 12. Par. I think he was at 12, and then I think second place was at 3 over.
That's right.
I think that's correct.
That sounds more right.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It was Tiger at 12 under. Ernie and Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Yeah. So with that being said, though, you know, just about potentially St. Andrews and Pebble Beach being way under par. Just remember, we do have a little bit of a history of knowing, you know, like, all right, so Graham McDowell I think he was over par in winning at Pebble Beach, and then obviously Tiger blitzed the place, but the guys hit it so far now, and they're able to do so much with their equipment, technology, with how much better it's gotten over the years, and it's, you know, the quality of player too. I mean, with this technology, they just are able to, whether it's overpower a golf course or just be that much tighter with their games.
So just because we use so much time on the course discussion, moving to some other guys in the field this week of note, Scotty Scheffler, first time we've seen him this year after the whole hand surgery situation. We found out we were both wrong. We were guessing earlier. He was making ravioli, which I did not have anywhere near. That was like off the board. And then Rory suggested that he get a chef. And then I think Scotty said something to the effect of like, I do have a chef. She's pretty cute. Her name's Meredith or something like that. It's pretty hilarious. But so Scotty, you know, I think the thing I was most interested in is, you know, what is he going to stick to that saw claw putting grip on those shorter putts. He was using that this week, so he stuck to that.
Good too, right?
He was positive. He was 0.48 strokes gained putting in the positive. He lost some strokes around the green to the field. His best category was approach, not a shocker. He was positive off the tee, and a T9 at 15 under. So, I mean, I think for his first event back, when you're going to be knocking some rust off, that passed the eye test for me. What do you think of the way Scotty played this week?
Well, a lot of normal for Scotty, which is iron game was good, putty good. The around the green thing's a little interesting. I kind of want to go a little bit more in depth to that to see exactly what it was that was a little off. I'm gonna actually pull up my shot link now just to see if there's maybe some like outlier shot that skewed the stats for him, to see why it was so low, because still he finished T9, only 6 shots off the pace. But as far as just grading his performance, I mean, I think you just say solid B. I don't think anything to worry about with Scotty. I think if anything, going into Phoenix next week, a place that he's already won before and plays well at, I don't see anybody beating Scotty next week. It's almost, I almost want to wait a week and pick him at like a Torrey Pines, but who's beating him next week?
I think if that's what you're seeing, and again, maybe you'll dig further into shot link, but the first thing that goes right is the short game of the putting when you have a little bit of rust. I mean, he said that even in periods when he's taken time off, he's still hitting golf balls. He could not hit golf balls because he had surgery on his right hand. Also couldn't change diapers, also couldn't work out, among other things.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I have no idea how to categorize what Mavericks GM Nico Harrison pulled off, Joe. All I know is that he shipped off Luka Doncic without telling Luka about it.
If you thought conditioning was a problem for Luka, wait till you get a load of Anthony Davis tripping over air and then missing 40 games because he's like Glass Joe's.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. One that we regretfully have to touch on, but we do have to touch on it because he's a friend of the show. He came on, I guess, in our first year in 23, and also a friend of Scotty Scheffler's, is the Tom Kim slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast. There was his approach shot at the par 5-6 at Pebble Beach. Just to refresh your memory, it's the one where it's that dramatic uphill blind shot. After they kind of hit a drive off the tee with the water on the right hand side. He was standing over that ball for well more over the 40 seconds he's allotted, and then proceeded to blow it right into the hazard area. And I think that the quote was wasn't really worth the wait. So there was that shot, and then of course, or not worth the wait was the quote. And then on 18T, after hitting it in the water OB, actually didn't see his first tee shot. He was re-teeing, hitting his third.
And I think Tim Nance said something to the effect of, he's now hitting his third, and then we were waiting. He's like, at least I think he's going to hit his third. He should be hitting his third there. So, how do we approach this, Smylie? Because the other thing I read, just in talking about the PGA Tour product and just the changes they're hoping to make, is that they have privately a stat for time per shot for every player on tour. And they've handed out fines behind closed doors. They've tried to work with guys to get them to speed up if they're slow. They've tried all this stuff, but they're discussing making some of this stuff public now that it's more and more, there's more and more of complaints about this. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the issue specifically as it relates to Tom Kim, and what you'd like to see happen publicly to start really addressing slow play, because people are not happy with it right now?
Well, we'll use Tom Kim obviously because he's the person this week, but there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Skovron when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going back and forth, which I personally as a player I love, and that's some of the best part of TV. It just I think when guys mosey around and take too long to get, the routines set up before they even do anything, that's the part that bothers me as a player. It's like, I understand some guys, like right now, Tom is having issues over the golf ball, pulling the trigger. Like it's pretty obvious. Like he just can't 1-2 go. It's something that he hasn't shown that he cares enough to really work on. He may be working on it, but just can't do it in competition. But it sure seems like to me that he either one is mentally struggling with that, or two just is like, hey, I'm just going to go at my speed. And if that's the case, right, that's what we want to, try to change, because that's the type of stuff we just need guys working on it. And hey, he might be working on it, and it could be really difficult for him. Like I've had issues in my day where it feels like it's going so much faster over the golf ball before you pull it back. And I'll see a video and I'm like, I looked at the hole 8 times before I pulled it off, pulled the club back. And a lot of times it was fighting my setup and over the golf ball, just trying to figure out, it's like, all right, how are we going to hit this thing straight with how crappy this feels over the ball right now? And I imagine Tom maybe is not dealing maybe quite with that level of it, but there is something to be said about how sometimes it is difficult to just go 1-2, pull the trigger.
Here is, and I'm not equating real PGA Tour events to TGL, but is it interesting to you at all that he just came off an event this last week where he had a 40-second shot clock for all of his full shots, and he hit every single one of them well underneath that allotted time limit? I know it's different. I know it's looking at a real visual target and how that plays with your mind and trying to figure out when you're ready to go, when you're ready to commit to a certain shot shape and a feel and everything like that. And it's very different on the simulator. Maybe he just cares less because it doesn't matter as much. But is that interesting or weird to you at all that he could do it in that setting?
No, I don't. I still feel like this isn't one of our biggest problems on the tour. I just think everybody's talking about it right now. Yes, everybody needs to play faster. The tour needs to figure out a little better system, because there's nothing more frustrating as a player is if I get a 2-stroke penalty and then 2 holes later we're waiting on a group. It's just like, you play to the pace of what's in front of you. So if I see open air in front of me, that's when we get going. When there's, if we're going to be waiting on the next hole, Tom Kim, the story behind all this today, for all we know, they were waiting the first 5 or 6 holes, and why would you play quickly? There needs to be much more of an emphasis on that certain stroke, every single shot, where there is some form of clock that you're able to go back on, that you take averages at the end of the day, to where over time, instead of just that day just trying to get into position, it's like, okay, no, you're just a slow player and we need you to be quicker. And whether that's stroking guys or finding them publicly, two good options there. The tour definitely needs to take a stance on it.
But don't tell anybody. I'm sick of coming here every year and talking about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Look, remember a few years ago we were here, people saying, Andy Reid's going to retire. I'm like, no way.